All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the Lassonde Engineering Podcast. I'm your host, Keandre Webb, and here today, this is the EECS episode. So we're going to be talking specifically about electrical engineering, computer engineering, as well as software engineering. And today we have Moral, our other producer, who wasn't able to make it today. Moral, can you please tell us your name?
You just said my name right now.
Your major and why you decided to join the podcast.
Yeah. Why did I decide to join the podcast? That's an obvious reason. I like to talk.
I can tell.
Yeah. I talk
All right, and as well as our guests, we have Gaurav. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Gaurav.
And your
I am
major?
a software engineering. I'm 20 years old, and I'm part of the LES, the Lassonde Engineering Society, as the VP Finance. Woo! Yes.
You can get money from him.
Yes, yes.
Sir.
Yes, my name is Tariq Salim. I'm in my third year of electrical engineering. I am 20, and I'm just a free agent.
He's free agent.
He's not a good VP of finance. He lost $11,000.
I did not.
He did
lose.
not do that. This is during a frosh week. When
This was a game.
Yeah, when we pretended to gamble. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so let's just kick off. Let's just start the episode. What engineering is everybody here? I'm computer. I believe Moral, you're computer
Yeah,
too.
I'm
Yes.
computer.
Electrical.
I'm software.
Okay, so
The most superior one.
okay,
Excuse me, what?
We'll get to
beg
that.
to
We'll get to
differ on
that.
that one.
We will get to that. So, something I want to ask everybody here: what are the similarities and differences between computer software and electrical engineering? So let me give my understanding, and then I'll give it to our guests. So, from my understanding, electrical engineering is he's like the pure blood, like a Harry Potter thing. Pure blood.
Look at him, how proud he is right now.
He's so proud.
He's like,
It's like
What are you
the
talking
pure
about?
blood. So they deal with everything relating to electronics. So literally any electronic they deal with. Computer engineering is like they're like the mixed child. So they're the mix between electrical engineering and computer science, right?
Computer science.
They are. They're the mix
I'm
between.
going to let you continue first.
Then he's going to start attacking you.
They're the mix between the two. And so computer engineering, they deal with mostly about building computers and mostly the interface between hardware and software. So we do a bit of electrical engineering, but only really related to computers, as well as like the software aspect. And then software engineering would be, I guess, another pure blood where they focus purely. It's a Harry Potter thing. They
Yeah,
focus
okay.
purely on just computer stuff. So they work on literally just building software, unit testing, and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's from my understanding. Anyone else has any other thoughts? Or you guys are all good.
I think Gaurav wants to say something right now.
First of all, second of all, yes and no. Like you said, there is no such thing as by your terms, pure blood in the engineering world because everything overlaps at a certain point. Yes, that is true. But I mean, Keandre, in our first year, did we not have a lot of overlapping EECS courses?
Oh no, that is true. But
Second year?
oh yeah, that's
Third
true.
year, and then fourth year is the year where we really differentiate. But even then, we still have one or two general EECS courses.
That's true.
So there is no such thing as a pure blood. It's just more of what you choose to become. So I'm going to stick with your Harry Potter analogy. You said one is pure blood, the other is pure blood, the other is half blood.
Yeah, computer
but it's
engineering.
just more of, I'm going to say, one focuses on more different aspects. They're all pure blood in their own, but they all have different personalities, is the good way to put it.
Wow, that was deep.
Tarek,
No,
what are your
he's,
thoughts?
he's right. He's right. Basically, all it is it's like he said, it's not pure blood because I do have some software courses, in electrical engineering and software engineering. They have a couple of electrical courses like electrical circuits. So he's right on that thing, but like, it's just like software and electrical just had a baby and then computer was just born. That's basically all it is. You're a mix of the two. Of course, we're not purebred. We're almost purebred, but not there yet. But and then you guys are just like our children. Children.
We have best of both worlds. What do you mean?
No.
Yes.
We
No.
are.
We do.
No. Electrical's better and software is better than computer.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So, a bit of a controversial question I wanted to ask our guests here. So, obviously, software engineering is the most popular degree in all the engineering. let's
And
just
for
be
good
honest.
reason.
No.
So, I have two questions. Why do you think this is? And do you believe this trend will continue? And if so, for how long?
Oh,
Gaurav?
100%. Why do you think this is? Well, example is our fancy equipment we're using right now, our mics, our headsets, all of these wires, your phones. Of course, we need electrical engineers. We need everybody. All right. We need you computer engineers as well. But so far, all you guys can really do is put stuff together. When you
Excuse
listen,
me.
hear me
Oh,
out.
wait.
Hear me out.
Whoa.
Hear me. Okay, let me finish.
Wow.
Let me finish. You guys can put stuff together. It looks amazing. It's cool, right? These microphones look super fancy, but you do need someone to code the inside. What does the microphone do when we tap the top? It either mutes itself or unmutes itself. And I feel like because of that, there's so many different technologies that are coming out, like the Oculus, for example, VR, so much stuff. We need to code so much. Like it's at a point where 5 years ago, 10 years ago, all right, when we were kids, did we ever have any classes that were coding related? No.
Not
I wouldn't think so. My sister's like a year ago, she was in grade 4 and she was doing coding classes. And I was like, what? I wish that was me. Like I love to code, but I couldn't back then. But like, you're so lucky because she doesn't like coding, but they're still learning it. And do you know why there is? Because schools realize that, there's a trend right now.
Yeah.
We have a demand for people who know how to code. And they're basically trying to, no matter what degree you want to go into or what profession, they're trying to push coding
Yeah.
so that anybody and anyone can code or learn how to code.
At this point, it becomes a skill.
Yeah.
Like for the future, like everything, robots and everything, you know?
It's all going to be software,
Yeah.
yeah. Tarek.
I mean, like, yeah, I agree with him. Just because, like, coding is what sets you apart from the rest, and especially in this day and age, because it was already like it was already growing as is. Like, a lot of people were going into software, and the market demanded it as, like, 2018, 2019 came around. But once the pandemic hit, then that's when the market just skyrocketed for software engineers or for computer scientists because of the fact that everything was moved online, and so that's just kind of what allowed everyone who was into coding or in a software degree or comp sci degree to be able to thrive. And the trend's gonna continue. It's gonna continue for another 10, 15, 20 years. It'll plateau eventually, but until that time, it's just gonna continue to rise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I agree. Personally, software engineering is the most popular, and here's my opinion. I think software engineering is the most popular because it's one of the most laid-back degrees. I'll be honest. It's definitely one of the... Listen, here's the thing. You don't even need a degree in order to even be a software engineer. You don't need yeah, exactly. You don't. You can just learn the courses online, right, and stuff like that, and you can be a software engineer. They get paid a lot if you're really good. Like people glamorize Google and all those different types of companies, right? Because the software engineers are treated nice because you're right. They're needed, and everything is paid online. I agree with Tarek. This trend will continue, but I don't think it'll continue for as long as you think. And the reason why I believe that is because automation. Software engineers' jobs are going to be it's going to be automated way faster than you think. There's this, I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of OpenAI, but there's this artificial intelligence called GPT-3. And right now, you can type in what you need and it's able to code it. So at some point in time, electrical engineers don't even need to learn much coding because they can just get a robot that'll do it for them. However, electrical engineering and computer engineering, that's not very easy to automate. You can't, that's incredibly difficult. So software engineering will continue for another 10, maybe 5 years. Oh, you want to say something.
Yes, I do want to say something. You're right, automation will, take over a lot of the software engineers and the comp scientists' jobs. However, the software engineers and the computer scientists are needed to code those automation systems in the first place.
Keandre, we learned this before. Jobs never truly die off. Yes, of course, certain fields, like at one point, they're no longer required because they're automated. But when one type of job ends, another opens up because we're going to need another job to maintain those. Like, yes, like you said, code's being automated. But can you do that right now? No.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true.
Okay, you're saying 5 years down the line. But yes, those, GP3T, whatever, of course, I'm not saying it's not going to be able to code stuff. But at the level we are right now, are we coding very simple things? No. But we're still learning. And I expect by the time we go out into the field, we're going to be proposed with a little bit more difficult questions and more difficult tasks. And at that point, I don't think everything can be automated. A lot of it could be automated. I'm not saying it can't, but there's still going to be a little bit which is going to have to be taken over by humans because we just can't trust automation with that. But also, you say that, we can't always automate the tasks of electrical and computer engineers. Do you think like every single, phone made by Apple is being put part by part into it by a person?
Oh no, there's definitely automation.
Exactly. So if that can be automated, why don't you think that we can create more machines that can automate the entire process?
Oh no, listen. First off, I wouldn't really consider that engineering. Most of putting parts together, like actually building the battery and stuff and the schematics. That's the job of like electrical engineers. That stuff can't be automated by machines yet. And yet is the key word here because, in my opinion, everything can be
Everything
automated.
has a definite timeline where it exists and will then cease to exist.
It can everything can be automated. Other than even creativity is like being automated at this point. Like artificial intelligence, literally, like it won an art competition recently. I'm not sure if you guys heard about that. So, AI is approaching its skills are approaching very fast, and I don't know how fast, but depending on how fast it is, software engineering, if not dies out, it's going to look very, 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 very different. So, I think we all agree that we all agree on that, right?
I mean, what are Moral's perspective on this? We've had a
On
lot of
this?
different perspectives, but
I don't think software engineers are gonna die out. Like I feel like in future, like we're gonna make so much robots and machines that they're gonna need to code and everything. I feel like people are gonna be more attracted to software engineering in general.
yeah,
I don't
100%.
think-
Because even right
Yeah.
now, we're making a lot of different
Yeah.
robots. An example of this is Boston Robotics, I think, or Boston
Boston Dynamics, I believe.
Boston Dynamics, yeah. They make amazing robots. And I've seen some of their videos. It is so amazing.
And it's gonna be more in future.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're going into this, timeline where, so much is so different from 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like if you were telling, your parents, 20 years in the past, if you go 20 years from now, you'll have cars that'll drive themselves. 100%, your parents will believe, oh no, this is some crazy person.
Yeah.
Even now, if you tell somebody, like you, Keandre, let's say somebody from the future, right, comes to you and says, oh, 20 years down the line, we'll have holographic phones and holographic stuff.
That's mod,
and
bro.
exactly.
You want a video
Even
call
now, you're
someone?
like, yo, that's mod.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, software engineering. I guess maybe it won't be automated as quickly. I guess you're maybe right.
No, I
maybe
don't think it will.
maybe I could be wrong.
I mean, we don't know yet because,
course.
as he was saying, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when more advanced technology gets made, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that's so cool. I want to get into it.
Yeah.
Sure, they can get into it. But will the market be able to hold that many people in it? And that's the one thing we won't know till we get there.
I mean, we can make a time machine. Software engineer, make a time machine and find
No,
out.
that's
I
not
mean,
their
you're
job.
a computer engineer. Put the parts together. Let's build this
We can-
thing.
That's
yeah,
true.
we can do it together.
I mean, we'll need
Yo, I want
someone.
to be in this project. That would look great on my
Of course.
resume.
you were
man.
just saying, no.
We'll need someone from physics to join us
That's
too, because
true.
they know how this E equals
That's
MC
true.
squared stuff works.
Time dilation. All right. So, basic question for everyone: why did you pick your major as opposed to the others? So, Gaurav, you're a software engineer. Why didn't you pick computer or
Money.
electrical?
I guess ever since I was little, I've always loved the aspects of coding and stuff because, like, I was like, yo, that's so sick. Like, how are people making games and stuff? The entire reason I wanted to come up and learn about coding and everything was so that in the future I can take my skills that I know from here and I can easily implement them into game development or whatever. And so far, I've tried my best with my current knowledge to create some games. I have created some basic games. But no, I'm trying to work on larger projects in the future if I can.
Like a time machine.
No, not a
That's my
time
thing.
machine, but I
I
mean
wanna
like an
work on that.
actual, like a game, like a full-on, like,
GTA.
huh?
Nothing.
Yeah, no, GTA, maybe like a
Fall Guys, something like that.
something
Gang
like that,
Beasts.
maybe Gang Beasts, or like even a Pokemon, like something like that. You know what I mean? Just a game. I've always like loved it since I was a kid. So my entire, I guess, idea was okay, get through school, learn about coding, go to some university, probably a good one, and like learn about coding, and then you can use that and to pumping out like whatever game you want to do just to see how that feels. Because once you make your first code that works that you're proud of, that feeling is so sick. And every single time afterward, when you create something that's challenging, that feeling's amazing. And I can't even wait for like that feeling when I make a first game and I'm proud of it.
You just got to make sure there are no syntax errors.
Imagine I just have one comma.
Yeah.
It's hours of work.
One missing semicolon. And
Oh my god, I swear.
So, Tarek, computer and software engineer. I mean, you heard him. Software is looking pretty nice. Why didn't you pick software? Why electrical?
Okay, so I had two things. One is I'm playing to my strengths, and two is I never really had a passion for anything growing up. So going into grade 12, I had no idea what I was gonna do.
I
Like
was the same,
no,
honestly.
absolutely no idea at all. I didn't know if I was gonna go into like something like accounting or like aviation, whatever. I didn't know. So I just, I had to kind of go off based off of what my courses were. I had physics, I had math, English, chemistry, things like that. So I looked at my options. I looked at and then I saw there was engineering. I was like, okay, cool, engineering or aviation. So it was between the two. I actually went one day to Waterloo University. They have a little flight school, and I flew like a little Cessna 152. It's like one of those little planes.
Cool.
Yeah, with an instructor. It was cool, but it just wasn't my thing. I was looking down, freaking out, like at the ground, because I'm like afraid of heights. So the second I got on the ground, I gave my dad a thumbs up and kissed the ground instantly. I was like, I'm not doing this no more. So then I was just kind of stuck with engineering. So now the issue was, what kind of engineering? What specialty do I want to get into? I looked at software, computer, civil, mechanical, space, electrical, everything. And then I just kind of started, ticking one off one by one. Okay, I don't want to do this because of this reason and that reason. So
What was your first one that you ticked off?
first one that I ticked off was civil, 100%.
Why everyone hates civil?
It's not that
Why?
it's not that I hate civil. It's just I don't see myself being a civil engineer. It's just
Okay.
that's just not me, I then the next thing I ticked off was aerospace because I did not like, projectile motion physics or forces. I hated it. I was bad at it, so I was like, I'm ticking that
You
off.
hated physics in general.
Yes. Well, no, not electrical physics, and that's what I'm gonna get to.
Okay.
Then I ticked off mechanical because I wasn't really into like mechanics or like cars or like vehicles or motors and anything like that. I just wasn't into it. Then I was left with three: software, computer, and electrical. Software and computer I knew was all coding. It was all coding. Computer I wasn't too sure because I didn't really hear about it much, but I would have assumed that it was coding. So then that just kind of left me with electrical. It's not necessarily that it was the worst option because I did like circuits. I do like, working with electricity. I find it fascinating. So that just kind of sparked my interest, and I said, that's what I'll go for. And here I am, 2 years into the
Jeez,
program.
that's quite a long process, but very, very, very practical. You
Sparked your
did.
interests?
Yeah.
You're very like practical, listing down your options. You have the mind of an engineer. You're gonna make a great
Yeah,
one.
and then plus I was also thinking about the future because everything is gonna go, towards electricity, towards like renewable energy. There's water, there's wind, but there's also electricity, which is, I guess, I can't say the best, but the most common, type of renewable energy. Oh, is it even a renewable energy source? Electricity.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, things
it
have to
really
get
depends.
converted
Yeah.
into
It
really
electrical
depends.
energy.
Like,
Yeah,
if you're using, I guess, solar or
Yeah.
wind or hydro, then yes, it's renewable.
Yeah.
But if you start using stuff like coal and stuff, that's not really.
Yeah, so that was just double checking, but like, yeah, because you have all these different types of things that you can turn into electrical energy and then work from there. So that just kind of sparked my interest and
That's good.
So you're
Here I
happy
am.
with your decision?
very.
What about you?
Me? Oh, yeah.
Are
Because
you?
I feel like in general, or something in common that I've noticed is a lot of people try to look for job security.
Yeah,
That's what
very
they try to
true.
look
That's
for.
true.
Job security, and it's also like something of their passion and what they
Mm-hmm.
like. But job security is a very big one that I don't think people realize at the time. But of course, I feel like while you've done your research, have you or have you not looked for the base pay of all the?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
did. Trust me,
Everyone.
everyone did.
100%. You know,
Everyone has.
At the
And
end of
trust
the day,
me.
you need money to make,
Exactly.
From
and I
the-
don't think some people realize, but unconsciously, like some
Yeah,
people are like, "Yo,
that's true.
this pays a lot more."
Yeah.
Even though I might not like particularly like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
will
I
definitely
will make
like
myself
take
like
it for the
it.
money.
Don't worry, I always double check the pay
Yeah.
before I get into anything. And,
Trust me,
and
everyone.
I'm telling you right now, the work you do in your undergrad or your postgrad or whatnot
Mm-hmm.
compared to how much you get, that ratio, that's a good ratio.
That's true.
It's a good ratio.
Honestly, I still look at it now to push myself through.
Yeah.
Like,
Every day you go.
I'll be looking through it, right? Doing my work. I don't feel like doing it, but then I look. I see 6 figs in my 30s. I'm like, let's do stats. Let's do stats. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Morale.
Yeah. Oh, me? I was like Tarek at first. I didn't know what I'm going to do. I was like, at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm going to do, like what major or anything. But like in my high school, we have robotics. So I was, oh my God, I was in love with robotics. I used to be like, put parts in, like everything. And so, I don't know, that was major part of like, I choose computer engineering because it's like hardware. And after that, I was like, I think engineering is for me, like, because I like hardware. And like, at first I wanted to go like, because like, software, I don't know. No offense.
Yeah, no.
But, like,
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. The only reason that pushed me to do it is because I was able to get a feel for it in high school.
Yeah, I know.
Like back in grade
Yeah.
10, 11, 12, I was able to do some coding classes. And because of that,
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
know.
okay, coding is not as bad as people
Yeah.
make it out to be. But then again, that was a simpler time. But I feel like, I don't know, I kind of did more complex coding in a sense back
In high
then.
school?
In high school, yeah.
then right now,
Well, so
And
far.
right now, yeah.
So far.
So far, yes.
when did you start coding?
I started coding back in grade 10.
Grade 10.
Grade 10. And the very
Did you start by
first-
yourself or like
No, no, no.
school?
This was in the coding class I was mentioning. We started off with a language called Turing. It was named after Alan Turing. And then we did Turing a little bit. It was like pretty similar to Java, I'd say. And then afterward, we switched to Java the following year. We did Java and a little bit of Corel the Robot. But Corel the Robot is coded in C, I believe. C or C++. So I did a very little bit of that. And then we just went right back to Java back in grade 12 again. So it was Turing, and then Java and C or C++, and then right back to Java.
So did you like it back then?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah?
loved it. I also took this business class and like we learned how to code in HTML as well.
Oh,
And we made
damn.
our little like website. And me and my friend, we made like Little
Wow.
Llama IT services. It's so funny. I think I still have the website till now.
That's
That's
crazy.
nice.
That's cool.
Wow, all your stories are so interesting.
What about you, Keandre?
Me? Okay, so just like Gaurav, I've been coding for a long time and I fell in love with it. I've always been into computers. Yeah, you know me, bro. Ever since I was a kid, I would love computers. I was always by the computer, fam. Like, I would be on the computer more than I sleep, eat, like anything. So I still remember everything about my computer. I remember the OSs. I remember installing my first virus on my computer.
Wow. That's not a good thing to remember.
But it's one
and
of the
like-
few.
What were you trying to download when you
Yeah.
installed virus?
It was just one of those pop-ups. I was like 8 years old. I was 8 years old.
I'm not gonna ask.
I didn't know
Let's
any
leave
better.
that.
That might be a conversation for after the podcast.
Yeah. So like I was just coding, and then when I reached high school, when I first reached high school, right, you don't know anybody, you don't have any friends. Now, of course, people would try and make friends, but of course, I decided to try and make code instead. So I did that. Eventually, I made friends, and I even helped them code. And that, like, I remember I was in science class once, and like the thing was, I learned how to code, and I just coded this little thing, and there was like a girl beside me who I was like, talking to, right? Like just not romantically. I was just talking to her. Bad choice of words. Anyways, so we played tic-tac-toe together, right? And you know how you said, Grab, before that when you make your first code, like when you make something by yourself, you're really, really proud of it. It was just a tic-tac-toe game made in Java. It was basic stuff. It was just
That's the thing. Once you create that first code, it's like that. It's like it's not joy, but it's like it's
I
a mix
made
of
this.
joy and like proudness.
Yeah,
You're
and
like,
the
yo,
thing was,
I did this
played
by
it that-
myself.
I
Yeah,
played
that's
it
true.
with the girl beside me in science class.
Okay.
Right? I was playing tic. She's like, "Oh my gosh, she made this." I'm like, "Yeah, I made it." yeah.
My guy's
She's like, how'd you
flexing.
make it? Oh, it's so easy. All you have to do is like, oh my gosh, you have to do the array and like do array manipulation. It's so
Nested-
easy. Come on,
nested
just stop
while loops.
right? And that's when I knew, yo, I'm a coder. I'm Neo from the Matrix.
exactly.
Like that's me.
Yeah.
But now I have a question for you. You love coding just as much as Gaurav does.
Why
so
did
why
you
is it
choose
that you
software?
chose computer instead of
Yeah,
software?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a story. So here's the thing. I was
Good one.
deciding. So initially, my two choices were actually computer engineering and computer science. And this is for a couple of reasons. Firstly, similarly to morale, I'm in love with robotics. So earlier we were talking about automation, and I love the idea of automation. I know about Boston Dynamics. I know about GPT-3. This stuff interests me. Robotics, artificial intelligence.
That's so
actually, like,
interesting.
yeah, it's so interesting to me, and I love it. And that's one, and that's more in the domain of computer engineering. That's one. Secondly, differently than Tarek, I actually hated electrical stuff. Electromagnetism wasn't for me. But I wanted to the thing was, I felt like software engineering and computer science, I'd be learning like kind of the similar things, but I really wanted to challenge myself. So I said, you know what? I want to get into robotics. Robotics has electrical components to it, and I want to leg up than my computer science and software engineering competitors. Hi, employer. Not only can I code, I can do stuff with electronics. Hire me. That's why I decided to go into computer engineering.
That's impressive.
That's good.
But okay, what made you go into an engineering field rather than a computer science field? Though?
Your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Well-
What made you go into a
He was
computer
muted, he was talking.
engineering field rather than a computer science field?
Well, my brother told me that having the word engineer on your resume gets employers on. Plus,
Yeah.
it's completely
true.
different. If you actually look at the curriculums, computer engineers do way more than computer science people.
like me personally, I did it because I was, of course, CS, software engineering, almost the same thing. The only reason why I went into software engineering rather than CS was because my dad was like, "Yo, listen, look at the work, okay? The work once you graduate is the same thing, all right? Both jobs require you to code, but while you're in school, when you graduate your degree, that is what a lot of employers look for. A CS is just a bachelor's,
Yeah.
right? But we get a bachelor's of engineering. An engineering degree is worth a lot. So that's why I was like, okay, this is why maybe I should go into like software engineering in particular rather than CS. But right now, though, I do realize that a lot of CS people, of course, they code a lot more than we have so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. It's because we do. they've coded a lot of more than we have so far because we have a bunch of like general courses. Like if you take like electromagnetism, and not to say that they don't, but we do a lot more.
But I feel like we
And
have
our
more
ethics-
skills than them.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do because
For
we,
sure.
because we also have to take like ethics courses
Yeah,
because there's a lot
exactly.
more pressure on an engineer
Yeah,
after you graduate,
true.
or especially because like let's say you get your PEng,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a PEng is, it's your professional,
Engineering
certificate,
Yeah.
basically allowing you to call yourself an engineer.
Yeah.
You have a lot more pressure on you.
Yeah.
You make decisions on big things.
So really think about
why.
all the ethical
Yeah.
And-
aspects.
Yeah, and plus you also have to remember, we're not just a bachelor's degree, we're an honors degree
Yeah,
as well.
that's true.
Right? So that takes us up that little bit.
And you
Not
also,
little.
Oh, sorry, that takes us up a lot bit.
and you also have to remember that like the things with computer science, the difference between computer science and software engineering is the theoretical practical aspect. So computer science, they deal with more like creating algorithms and all that stuff and making things more efficient. But when you're a software engineer, like you're ready to work right after you graduate.
It's not even that. Like I remember asking Professor James Andrew Smith. I think this was EECS
2021?
1012.
Oh, 10.
Either 1012
It's
or
1021.
1011.
1021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 1011. He teaches
He
both.
teaches
Yeah.
10,
No, this
11.
was our second EECS course.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is 1021 for sure.
1021. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember asking him. I was like, "Hey, listen, we were online, so this was more difficult for us back then." But I was like, "Yo, I realized that some CS people that I've met so far and talked to, they seem to have like done a little bit more than we have coding wise. Like, could you kind of explain why?" And the one thing he said that kind of stuck with me is when you're in CS, you're basically like you're given a problem and you're taught in a way to just solve that problem. That's it. But he was like, with engineering, especially when we professors have to teach it, we kind of have to give you guys the ability to think, okay, why are we solving this problem this way? So CS is more solve that problem however you can. But engineering is more like, okay, why are you solving it this way? What is these certain aspects of
Yeah.
solving it this way? What is the reasons?
And in how many ways I can solve it.
Exactly. You need to really understand the concepts in software engineering or engineering in
that's
general.
And that's also in the name of the course, computational thinking.
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any CS course where they have to take a computational thinking
Like
course.
how
I'm not
to
too
think
sure.
like computer science people. No.
Exactly, because they're only like you said, they're only taught like one way to solve it, and it's this way. For us, we have multiple different ways to
Yeah.
solve one problem.
That's
Now
true.
the question is, which solution
Is the best. That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still hating on computer science. So
No, we're not hating. We're just
Yeah,
saying how we're
I
better. Yeah.
Well, I don't think.
I wouldn't say hating. We're just talking about the
Yeah.
differences.
Exactly.
Apologies for the sneeze. So, I don't think that's true at all. I just think it's we just solve different classes of problems, and that's the reason why we take different courses earlier. So with computer science, the reason why they start off coding earlier is because that's all they do, the computer science. But you're an engineer. You have to do way more than just code, right? So I hate to use the pure blood example again, but it's the most applicable here, right? Computer science, they just type on a computer and do it. But when you're an engineer, you do more stuff, and that's why we take more like generalized courses. So that because when you're an engineer, your boss is going to say, "Hey, do this," and you're expected to know how to do it or know how to figure out how to do it.
Basically, engineering teaches us to broaden our horizon
Exactly.
with the skills that we would possess. So like, because even in take this in, even in like civil or mechanical, they sometimes take coding courses,
Yeah.
right? So it's just they're kind of taught to broaden our horizon, so we are
First year, right?
well-rounded
Yeah.
people. Huh?
First year, right? Like
No,
first year.
even second year.
Really?
Second year.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's just so we become well-rounded people
Yeah.
professionally and even personally as well. But so after when we're in the job search, in the time that we search for jobs, then that's when we're above the rest.
Yeah, of course. All right. Another question. Have you ever had a time where you felt like you wanted to switch disciplines, Tarek?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Both before and after. So
Really?
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'll tell you before. So this was actually the day that I went with my family to the university fair
Waterloo?
No, University Fair
Oh,
in
University.
downtown.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nathanville? Or sorry,
No, it was
Ryerson, right?
the
At
the-
Ryerson?
No, it was the convention center.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The Toronto Metro Convention Center. Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
it was there. So I went with my family. We looked at the universities, and this was before applications started. This was September or October of grade 12, 2019. If you didn't know, or yeah. So I go in. I'm there. We're looking at the different universities. I go to Queens, Waterloo, U of T, and whatever other schools are there. Then we stopped at York last, and then where my family and I sit down and we're just having a conversation, and I'm just talking to my parents. I was like, I don't really think I want to do this, and they're like, why? I'm looking at everyone around me. I was like, oh, they're all so smart. Dude, am I able to keep up with them?
That's
Am I
true.
able to do it? I don't know, because what if I get left behind while I'm in school? They all look so smart. I'm pretty sure they've all gotten they finished with like A pluses and A's, and I'm just here with B's and A's at most. And I just was scared. I didn't want to waste my parents' money and their time, and waste my own time as well with something that I might not succeed in. And they sat me down. They just told me, they're like, well, you were able to get here in the first place. That says something, So
That's good.
if like this whole time you were competing with them, you were at their levels, and maybe sometimes even higher or sometimes lower, it doesn't matter, but you're generally competing with them, and you have been at the same level with them this whole time. The fact that you've gotten here in the first place, right? So if you've made it this far, you can do another 4 or 5 years without having to worry about whether or not you can do it, because you've already done it. You just don't know it yet.
So do you still worry now?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Because I feel like the initial stages of university, when it was online, when we started in 2020, and maybe throughout the first year, I was like still iffy on it, But then when we got back into person, and when I started getting more comfortable with the courses I was doing and my work ethic, then I was able to be like, okay, I have to stop comparing myself to everyone else and focus on what I can do. Because what I can do could be better than some others, but it could also be worse than other people as well, So, and that's the issue. You can't always compare yourself to other people, and that's the one thing I was doing.
You should compare yourself to yourself, not
Exactly.
others.
Compare yourself to yourself. Because the mistake I was making was comparing myself to other people at the time when I was at the university fair. And that was my biggest problem, because then I set myself back, not knowing that I was already on par with them, and if not slightly ahead.
Gaurav, have you ever had a time where you felt like you wanted to switch disciplines, either within engineering or outside of it?
Never. Like I said, like ever since I was little, I basically had like my entire life planned out. I was like, yo, okay, I'm gonna go to high school here because they applied these courses, and I can take these, which can help me code. And then after I do that, I'll either go to, my plan actually never was go to York. That was never in my idea.
Really?
No.
What was your plan?
My plan was go to Waterloo as my first choice for software engineering, or U of T for software engineering. So back when I had to apply, my parents were like, just apply everywhere. Apply everywhere, just see like what offers you get back.
You accept.
And then off of everything that you receive, you can like make a list of what you like the best, and then go from there. So I got a response back from Waterloo and U of T, but not for software engineering. Waterloo was like, yo, we can give you geomatical engineering. And they're like, oh, I was like, oh, I don't want geomatical engineering. Like, geomatical engineering was basically like, I did a little bit of research. It was like, oh yeah, you'll go like, you'll figure out GPS stuff and everything. And I was like, that's not what I'm into. Can I switch? And they're like, yeah, if you do well the first year, and then you apply to switch the second year, we could like try to fit you into software. But they said that's a if. Like it had to depend on, how many people were applying the following year to software, what were your grades, everything. And that was just a big risk. And I got a offer back from U of T, but that was also a different field of engineering, and again, not something that really interested me. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to try to risk going into a university, into a different field, which I do not like, have no passion for, and then be stuck in that position and then have to finish my degree or drop out, because that would just be a waste of time and money. And I didn't want that. So I got a response back from York, and I did a lot of research, found out, oh, York is a really good place. It's like in the world, I think it was like top 50 back then. It was in the top 50. So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. So I took the offer from York. Once I got here, I never wanted to switch my into like out of software. There have been times where I'm like, yo, like I look around class sometimes, and you know, Harish is also in software engineering, and our friend, and I look at him because he's older, he's like big brother. So, and I'm just like, yo, like we walk into class sometimes, I take a look around, nobody knows what's going on. Nobody out of like a class.
I don't
of
know
like
if that's
60,
a good thing
70.
or a bad thing.
That's a very bad thing.
Yeah, very
Out of a
true.
class of like 70, and like we could fit 70 people. There's only like 40, 50 people sitting in that class. And I see maybe 3 people, 4 people, like actually looking down, writing down on their freaking iPads or whatever. And I have Harish sitting next to me taking down notes on his pad. And I'm sitting there, I'm just trying to like understand the professor. And some professors are really easy to understand, but there are some which are harder to understand. And you're just like, I don't get their accent, or I don't get the way they teach, or the way they teach is too confusing. Because sometimes some professors, what they do is they'll show you one slide on like page 2, but then to help explain that, they need to go to like page 6, and then page 8, and then back to page 5, and then back to page 2, and it's just a mess, and it's really hard to understand sometimes. So you really need to put in that your own time, basically, to really understand the material and learn. But that's, again, I have a lot of my friends in the same courses as me. Harish is in like all my classes. So anything, we just usually sit down after class, or if we don't get something, we just talk about it, and like we get it after. Even during class, we just talk about it. So I guess that really helps. Having friends in like the same, I guess, you know what I'm trying
Engineering,
to say?
yeah. It's having friends with you, it makes the pain easier to bear.
Exactly.
true.
Exactly.
Seeing everyone suffer with you.
No. Not seeing everyone suffer with you, but it's like having everyone there so that they can.
Help you out.
Yeah, you're helping
Supporting.
everyone else out.
And also like validate your experience.
Exactly.
Like, you know, like have you guys ever had that like the experience where like you did really bad on a test, but everyone did bad on the
Yeah.
test too,
You're
test
like,
too,
okay.
so you don't feel dumb.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
2011.
As long as you do better than the class average, you're okay.
Yeah.
Well, the majority of the time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's some times where you can do better than the class average and still fail.
Yeah.
Right, but then that doesn't fall on you. That falls on the professor.
That's true.
Because then that knows that that shows you that they didn't do their job
We're
properly.
talking about math 2015.
maybe,
No,
but it's
no,
okay.
no.
I passed that exam.
You passed that. Like the class average was legitimately less than 50%.
Yeah.
But the
It
professor
was.
literally went, oh no, the class average was 50.7 or 50.8.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
that's
said
so
that.
much better.
I
I
like,
literally-
that's so great. And I was like, how is that great?
I literally asked him, I was like, okay, because I finished.
I don't think we should drop the name.
Well, no. I asked the professor. I'm not dropping
People
no
need
names.
to
No names.
prevent.
No names. But like, what I'll say is, after I found out what my exam mark was, 52% on that exam. If you guys want to know, I emailed the professor. I was like, okay, what's the class average, and what was my final grade? Because I didn't know what my final grade was. He told me class average was 50, and my mark was a 62. My final mark was a 62.
Really?
So I was like. I was happy but sad at the same time because look, 62, that's a bad mark. That's a terrible mark,
Yes.
right? But then at the end of the day, I take a look at everyone else who averaged out the grade to a 50.
That's true.
I did 12% better than the class average, so I was still somewhat happy. I told my dad, and he was like, Why didn't you do better? Typical parents. But nah, I'm messing with you. I was like, I did better than the class average. So then he was like, okay, yeah, you know what? Then that's okay because it shows that everyone did bad and that the prof was at fault with this one. I mean, mind you, our exam was 50%.
It was
half of our grade.
It was really bad.
It was
but
math,
it's also like
2015?
Math
50,
2015.
Yeah, math 2015.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because our exam was worth half of our grade, right? And this guy was just like, you either know it or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it
he's
was
like,
also-
he wasn't
I guess it was
curving.
because it was online as well.
Yeah.
Where professors legitimately made the test so difficult.
Yeah, it's because
Online
everyone's
was so
average
much
was so high because it's online.
Exactly.
So, not really
Yeah.
though. Like
No,
our
actually,
class
really.
was like not that great.
No, like, there's a lot of people online. Oh, their averages, their course, their marks,
Not it.
Yeah, I was
not
like,
it at all. like, damn, I finished first year. I was like, damn, I did bad. Then I realized I some other people did way worse than me. So I was like, you know what? Thank God, I'll stick with what I have and I'll just improve from here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys ever feel like because of how hard it is that's kind of what makes you want to switch? Because for me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of like I see because I know some people in computer science, and I'm like, yo, they're like chilling, they're like doing track and stuff, and I'm like, I'm trying to do track. I'm trying to I got Rick and Morty to watch. like I don't have time for that, and they do. So it's like, and we're gonna be doing similar jobs. Like, why don't maybe I do a little Bachelor of Science? Switch to. Because the workload of engineering is insane, and that's kind of what made me want to switch disciplines, especially since we're gonna get similar jobs.
You're right, but the reward at the end
the
of it
reward-
all.
What makes me
That's
stay?
that's
What makes me
what-
stay is that
see the
computer science
money?
people they can't get a professional. They can't get a professional PN. They can't get that. I can.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, right? Because you already like, let's say you graduate, you get a nice job, right? Your starting salary is already like this, and then once you get your PNs, your salary just goes like this.
And then what really allures me about PNs is that you can work for daddy government. So, they're paying the big bucks. They're paying the big
Then you know
bucks.
you just see it went from this to this, and then there's an extra one.
Bro, I'm making it rain, bro. It's gonna be a
Exactly.
green Christmas, okay? It's gonna be a green Christmas. All right, Moral, have you ever had a time where you felt like you wanted to switch?
Oh,
disciplines?
hell no.
Really?
No.
Computer engineering all the way.
Yeah,
all
I
the way
was like,
home?
this was made for me. I'm not changing to business psychology. No.
Yo,
Yeah.
mind you, at one point I actually thought of getting into accounting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? Tell us more.
This was in grade 11. Okay.
11?
This was in grade 11. So
You want to go to accounting too?
No, I was just good at it, so I was like, yo, this is something I can like rebound into if whatever doesn't work.
So I was looking at my job options, and I was good at. I'm pretty decent at math, and then I looked at some of the courses that a lot of the students in business wanted to take or were taking. I was like, yo, this stuff's super easy. Like, I want to get into it. Grade 11, I got into my accounting course. I dropped it the first day. Not because it was hard, but it was the most boring thing I have ever took in my life.
It's a very tedious thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's so
It's
tedious.
just like you have to calculate everything.
No, it's not even calculate. It's just whatever you have on the certain ledger, you just have to copy that value over and over, just bring it down, and then you have that value here, credit, debit,
Okay.
and then it just keeps going
I
on.
wanted something more adventurous, more exciting, like something a little harder where it can actually test me, And it's not to say that it didn't test me, which it did very slightly though.
Yeah.
Engineering tests me a lot more, and it makes me feel a lot better about myself when I get something
it
right,
does. All right, so a couple more questions. We're almost done here. Maybe 2 or 3 more. In your opinion, what are the advantages and disadvantages that electrical software or computer may have over the other? So I'll go first. I think personally, software engineering right now has a lot of advantages over computer engineering because it's such a popular and recognizable major. So when people look at it, they know exactly what they're going to get, right? I feel like that's a huge advantage. But I think a disadvantage is that software is very limited in what they can do, which is the reason why I picked computer. Which isn't to say software people can't learn, but I feel like I get more of that exposure because I have to take courses like electrical circuits, for example.
Can you elaborate on very limited to what they can do? What do you mean by that?
So
Software?
So software engineers. So what they do, they literally engineer software, and that's effectively what they have
code,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, that's their whole job description. Me as a computer engineer, I have to learn how to do that, but I also have to learn about the electrical engineering aspects as well as
hardware and
how they
software.
connect, right? So if I wanted to, I could do a software engineering job too, but I can also get into robotics.
Yeah.
I could also
Do the hardware.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
build chips. Like I have all of these things open to me.
More options.
Yeah,
You have
more options to me, and I feel like that's an advantage that computer engineer has. I also, in terms of advantages, I think probably electrical engineer would probably get the most advantages because everything uses electronics.
That's true. Yeah.
Everything, like
And
literally
then-
everything.
And then it's not only the electronics part, because then we can also work with power systems. We can work on generators, things like that. So we have what you have plus more,
Yeah.
like
no.
and then some, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's just the advantages. That I can't really say there's
We can't
many
rank them.
disadvantages. We
It's
can't.
so
Yeah.
hard to
We
rank
can't
because there's
think
too
of a
many.
disadvantage right now.
Yeah.
Like, well, if we'll think of one eventually, but just like on the spot like this,
Yeah.
we can't think of many.
I mean, and it's this isn't just to. I'm just curious. I just wanted your thoughts on this. It's not to say that any of these are bad. These are all really, really good majors.
Oh, no,
I'm just
100%.
wondering how you guys think they're different. You have any thoughts? Anyone else?
They're all amazing. Okay, they all have their advantages. Right now, software is in a huge demand.
Yeah.
There's also a pretty big supply though, so demand is big, supply is big. Electrical engineers, of course, you need electrical engineers for absolutely everything, right? Powering your homes, absolutely everything. Yes, sir.
I'm pointing at the camera. You're damn right. You need me.
Did you make that camera electrical engineer?
Okay.
Maybe,
Never
maybe
know.
not.
though. What is that? But no,
That was
that's the thing,
bad.
right? Like we're saying, everything needs everybody. Of course, computer engineers have a lot of advantages as well. It really comes out to
People at the
to
end
the people
of
at
the
the end
people
of the day.
depends
It's
like
just
what
like
you
what does
desire,
the job need you to
what
do?
do you like.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever you like is what you need
Yeah,
to do.
exactly.
There's advantages
Doesn't
in all
matter.
fields. There's disadvantages in all fields.
Yeah.
Like if a recession comes in and people are expecting a recession to come in soon, all jobs are
Yeah.
going to be affected, not just one single
Yeah.
type.
That's true.
So don't take it the wrong way
Yeah.
when people are like, "Oh, this job is in demand. This
Yeah.
job's not in demand." Because when I was telling people when my parents especially were telling their friends, my aunts and uncles, they're saying, "Oh yeah, he's going to go into software engineering." Everybody's like, "Oh, but that field's already like this.
Like oversaturated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is coming from people that are already in that field. Wow. But it's like, yo, you're in that field. You still have a job. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? What do you want me to say? I've just been a really snarky kid ever since I was little. I just straight to the point. Like, you're in that field.
Sure,
You
no.
have a job.
That's the mind of an
Yeah.
engineer.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's just-
We're just straight to the point.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we
I don't
don't-
want to waste time, bro.
We don't beat around the bush.
Exactly.
We just get
Efficiency.
straight to it.
Listen,
Engineering's-
all jobs have their advantages. Right now, all jobs have their particular,
Yeah.
wanted level as well.
But
Like
at the
you
end
also-
of the day, it's just people.
It's just
what
people.
they
Exactly.
like.
It's just what do you want?
Yeah.
Whatever you
Exactly.
like, do it.
Because what you like, you're gonna be good at it. If
I
you
know
don't
it
like
sounds
something,
so corny because, especially
But
in
it's
high
true.
school, people are like, "Oh, follow
Yeah.
your heart, do whatever makes you
Yeah.
happy."
Yeah, that's true.
Everything. They're like, "Oh, don't choose a job for the money." No,
Yeah.
do it.
But if you don't
choose,
like
choose
what
a
you're
job for the
doing-
money as well. Money is a factor that counts. Okay,
true. Yeah.
but it's also what you like.
Yeah, you
because
can-
if you
yeah.
hate your job, no matter listen.
you're not gonna be happy in life.
No,
You're
no
gonna go
matter
every day
how
in
much
office
money
and
could
sit.
be
Yeah.
involved with that job. If you hate absolutely every single second of it, you're not going to feel happy about that job.
Exactly.
You're going to be glad when you're done.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I'm going to be glad when my shift is over as well. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be happy walking into work rather than depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it's just not even depressed. Any other feeling other than depression walking into work is a good sign. but then you also have to remember, I'll give an example here. So of course, every single discipline in engineering is needed. Every single one.
That's true.
But it also depends on what you're working on. Let's take a look at cars. Okay? We have fully electric cars. We have cars that use gas.
Hybrid.
Now remember, Not only does that use software engineers for coding the GPSs, maybe on both cars,
That's true.
you have the computer engineers for, putting the hardware together, and maybe even electrical for the circuits. Of
course, Maybe.
Okay.
It's a car.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
You're
for
gonna
sure.
have, like, mechanical engineers as
Mechanical
well.
engineers working on the car. You have civil engineers for the road working on, right? I don't know where aerospace
And like maybe
comes
the
into
tires
this.
and
We have, I think, I'm not sure about it's just to say how like aerodynamic the car is. That
No.
no,
I
No.
don't think so.
Really?
Space engineering is mainly for like
no. That's space. That's different.
no
but, like,
aerospace.
Yeah, oh, aerospace. Yeah,
Aerospace, space, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
But like, there's
But that's not going to be like apps like software, computer, or electrical, or mechanical.
like if
That's
you
gonna be
think about
something
it,
else.
if you think about it, aerospace and civil had a baby, you get mechanical.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
that's-
Yeah.
It's just because one's in the air and then you have the ground and then you make mechanics on the ground.
Yeah.
Simplest way to put it.
Yeah. Okay. This is the final question before you wrap up.
Okay.
What career paths are you interested in, or are considering, or considered? Let's just talk about like where you want to go from here and where you've decided, stuff like that.
Okay.
I'll go first. For me, I've always been kind of interested in game development, similarly to Gaurav, right? I've made a couple of games of my own, and I've absolutely loved it. But I watched a couple of YouTube videos about crunch time, right? The game development industry is incredibly ruthless.
It is.
Very,
Wow.
very
That's
ruthless. It's it's not even just work. The environment is incredibly toxic and even misogynistic too. And that's just, it's not a place where I want to be, right? Like, and your job is like very, very fragile. Like, let's say that they're developing like GTA 6 right now, right? They're gonna hire a lot of people.
Been leaked.
But they're gonna hire a lot of people for a new game. But after the game is released, you think they need all that people? They don't. There's gonna be layoffs. I don't need 300, 400,000 people anymore because
Do
the
you
game's
think
already done.
they only make one game and just end it?
Oh no, of course.
No.
Of-
Like that's the thing, right? It's a project. When you hire people, yes, you're gonna assign this many people to that specific project. But after that project is completed, you're not gonna say, okay, all these people, you're fired, get out. You're gonna be like, okay, out of let's say 400 people were developing, GTA 6. You're gonna say, okay, 200 of you go develop Red Dead Redemption like 6, whatever, and then they'll say 100 go do a different game, and then 100 go do a different one.
But you have to remember the amount of people required. The amount of people required to make the game is way more than you need to completely maintain the game, as well as like maybe develop other side projects. So think about it. If you're making a new game, you have to release it by this date. You need all hands on deck. The more people you have working on something, the faster it can get done. But after that, you don't need that many people anymore. So people are getting fired.
But but you also have to remember, it depends on the game that you're making. Because a lot of games are so complex, right? GTA 6, like, why am I saying GTA 6? That hasn't come out yet.
As an
GTA 5. Let's say GTA 5. You take a look at the whole map, every intricate detail.
That's true.
In any game that you look at, someone or multiple people worked on. And sometimes they couldn't even get that. So you had to get extra people to come help. So it's more like an investment, let's say.
No matter how many people you have, they're always hiring more because of time constraints.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's always going to be time
Yeah,
constraints.
that's my
One person
point.
can do all
This
of
is
that.
Eng
Exactly, yeah.
1102, I think.
But Gaurav, you don't understand. That's my point. And then after the release date is done, they don't need all those bunch of people they needed in order
No,
to
but
meet
they're
the
just
New
kinda
things gonna
reassign
come,
them.
new updates.
But
The
then
new
look,
updates that come in,
Yeah,
the
but they don't need
DLCs,
need all
don't
of
need
those
that
people
many
anymore.
No,
but
they
of course
do. I'll
they're
tell
gonna
you
be
why.
reassigned.
And what happens to the extra people? Fired.
No.
No?
They do need those people. Every single person they hired, they need them because once they're done one game, a certain amount of people can work on updates,
They
and
already
then the
have
rest will
that
work on a new game.
experience. So they don't need to like rehire people and then reteach them to say, okay, do this. They already have people who have done this. And now what they'll do is they'll just reassign people. Some people work on updates and DLCs. Some people work on just making sure that the games don't crash, the servers are good.
There's
Some
also
people work
another
on other
factor you
projects.
have to consider, which is crunch time. So with crunch time, like the team will ask you to work like 80-hour weeks because they need that game done, right? Now, are you really gonna convince like a 30 like 35-year-old to do that? Like, no, they're just gonna say, screw you. I have years of experience. I'll just find another job. But with young, passionate people such as yourself who gets accepted into Blizzard, oh my gosh, it's Blizzard. Oh my gosh, it's Riot Games. They made League of Legends. I want to work for them. Oh my gosh, it's Rockstar. They made my favorite
work on
GTA
League?
game.
Couldn't be me.
But
Right? So then you're going to be more willing to work incredibly long hours, especially because it's probably one of your first jobs at these big companies, right? And that's the reason, that's another one of the reasons why they fire people, right? They get all the old ones out and the new people to come in because they're easier to exploit for more profit. And that's one of the reasons why I decided not really to get into game development. And because I haven't played much games, not too many, and I'm more passionate about robotics and AI because
Same,
I feel
same.
like it would give me more like of an impact in my life because realistically, realistically, robotics is a bit difficult, and I'll just take whatever job I get because I'm an engineer, right? And I want to make money and being practical. But like, I love automation, and I've always wanted to live in Star Trek. I want to live in a world. I want to live in a world. I want to go to Mars. I want to go to the moon. I want to live in a world where
Trek.
I want to live in a world where like no one has to do like any super hard menial work, and people can just spend time with their friends and families. And I want robot butlers. And
yo,
I'm sorry.
What's happening?
Hold on.
This guy.
How do we go from game development to going to Mars and living on different planets
And
robot
people
butlers?
not working.
because that's the type of world I want to
you
create.
telling us your
That's the type of
dream?
world.
Wake up to
Yes,
reality.
this is my dream.
Wake up
And
to
working in
reality.
robotics, I feel like the work I do in engineering would be meaningful. And again, I wouldn't come in depressed. I'd come in at least if I am depressed, at least a bit happy depressed.
If I had robot
What?
butlers, I wouldn't
my
be coming
guy,
in at
my
all.
guy, my guy.
I'm
I want to
happy
live in an
depressed
anime
more.
world, but there's just things we can't get. You get me?
You think my dream is unreal? Go ahead, talk. You know what? This is you have this floor. You have the floor. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Oh, I just said what I wanted to say.
What did you
spot?
say?
I want to live in an anime world, but there are just some things that we can't get. Like you can't live in a Star Trek world.
Why
bro.
can't you?
Why can't?
Why can't
not?
You
Or
are
like,
an
like in a
Make your
VR
dreams
headset.
come
Are
true.
you talking? Are you talking like VR headset
Right
type
now,
stuff?
you're an electrical engineer, okay?
Yeah.
I want you in a couple years from now to grab a bunch of electrical engineers, software engineers, and like computer engineers. You build that machine, all right?
Like-
and then you go into whatever anime world you want to go into.
My guy.
This is the thing.
Let's,
This is
let's
like-
talk. Let's talk fathomable. Okay? Let's talk something that's fathomable. Like I understand.
This is already happening. This is what you guys don't understand.
You're shaking the table.
What is happening?
This is just my passion. I'm sorry. You know what? You guys, I've already said enough. Gaurav, what do you want to do when you become a software engineer? What's your dream job?
My dream job so far is just like okay, you're gonna call me basic as hell.
You're
But
basic as hell.
Game developer? No. Game developer is not something I want to do when I grow up. It's something I want to do on the side by myself.
Okay.
That's not like a
Indie
job.
game development is so much fun. You're right. You're right about that.
When you make your own game, that's just amazing. You're your own boss. You don't have someone yelling in your ear constantly saying, "Oh, put this many hours into this." You don't have that. It's up to
Yeah.
you, all right? You are the person who creates that game. and
You're
it's up to
making your
you.
own world actually to like
Exactly.
gaming.
Like let's take a look at Five Nights at Freddy's. Scott Cawthon didn't he work on the game by himself?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same person who made Undertale as well. The music art completely by himself.
Exactly.
Listen, Undertale music slaps.
It
Yo,
slaps.
Five Nights at Freddy's, one of the best games
It
to
is.
come out.
It's
And
Well-
it's been so successful there now because that initial game was so successful. He had the opportunity to hire much more people, and now there's so many more games now. There's like Five Nights at Freddy. What's the
there's
new
two,
one?
there's three.
Oh, there's
like
2, 3, 4 sister location.
The one where they're stuck in a mall and they're
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, I can't remember.
I don't know the
names,
name, but like, I know there's a bunch.
I just watched Markiplier play all of them.
That's good enough, bro.
and don't forget Notch. He made
Notch.
he made like the
okay,
game.
he done goofed though. He done goofed.
Well, now, yeah, he kind of messed up.
Yeah,
But like
dude.
at the beginning,
Boy.
he had a really good
he
opportunity.
should have held on for at least another year and a half, 2 years.
The
He
thing
would've
was,
made,
he
like,
was getting
legit so much more money.
burnout, and because
Yeah,
he
that's
got
true.
so big, there's lots of criticism. He was getting tired of it, and like he wanted to work on something else.
Yeah.
So that's why he sold the company.
But again, he should have shared a portion of the company, not everything. He should have shared like enough so that either he's still a large shareholder or he's still the main shareholder, and just taking a step back, saying, "Okay, you know what? Y'all deal with this. I'm taking a vacation." But he done goofed. He's like, "You know what? I don't want nothing to do with this."
Tarek, what do you want to get into with respect to electrical
Hold
engineering?
up, I don't think I answered, but
I did I not? Do you not? I'm sorry.
I didn't tell any of the boys yet. But I got a position. I got a position. The only people I've told so far are Harish and Sachin. And I think Numer knows. So a couple of days ago, my aunt and uncle, they called and they're like, "Yo, listen, you're coding, you code, whatever. Your mom, she learned testing tools, whatever. How about this? How about we offer you a little job, do some testing tools, work on it for 2 to 3 hours a day, all right? Work on it, we'll pay you as well. Teach your mom what you're doing so like she can also like learn as well. She can refresh herself. And then you can work through now. And I was like, okay, that's sick. Like, how do I work? What's the job? What's the details? Everything. They're like, listen, this was back when like there was a festival going on, so I couldn't do anything much. They're like, okay, let's just get the festival over with first, and then in a couple of days we'll call you again. We'll let you know. So I have a testing tools position on the side. Nothing's been confirmed yet. But I told
Audience, can we give a round of applause for Grab?
No. I asked, I was like, listen, is there a way where if I do good in this, can I continue all the way through summer and then potentially get it changed to a co-op as well? Because if I can secure that to be my first co-op as well.
This guy's smart.
I've won.
Give me a job too, please.
Listen, if I can, I'll give you guys a job as well. But this could be really good. So I was like, 100%, I'll do it.
Tarek, we have to wrap this up. So
No
quickly
worries.
tell us, what do you
I'll
want to
keep
do?
it quick. Power systems.
What about power systems do you like?
Everything. 3-phase AC circuits. I'm learning about that right now in EECS 3622 Intro to Power Systems. It is a course where I learn about single phase AC circuits and 3-phase AC circuits.
And how are power systems used in electrical engineering?
100%.
No, how?
Oh, how?
Yeah.
I didn't hear the how.
Oh, my apologies. Go ahead.
Repeat the question, please.
How is electrical engineering used? Like,
How is
Well, we
power system using
basically have to
electrical
like figure out how everything's wired. We have to make sure there's no imbalance in in any of the phases that goes into the power transferring or like into the transfer of power through the lines. Like you take a look at Pioneer Village and you see all those lines. Like wires just going down. We have to make those. We have to make sure there's like no disruption of anything. We have to make sure nothing gets damaged, anything like that. So we think of ways to prevent any of that, as well as be able to be as efficient as possible.
yeah, that's good. Moran,
AI.
final question.
AI.
What do you want to do as a computer engineer?
AI.
AI? Jeez.
You just keep it short, so I say AI.
keep it.
That's
as
it?
Yeah.
One word answer.
You said short, AI.
And you want to elaborate, or you're good?
AI.
I mean, what about AI? Like, what specifically do you want to do? Because when you say AI, there could be so much stuff.
AI.
Like automated driving or whatever. What is your specific thing?
If
that
I
you're
want to talk
interested in?
about it, I'm gonna go on. So
Just talk about it. Just because that's your
just
passion
give us
right there.
just give us
Yeah.
like a brief summary.
AI.
Okay, you know
Thank
what?
you very much.
You're welcome.
Garab, Tarek, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You guys were
Thank you.
amazing guests. Yes, sir. You guys were absolutely amazing guests. We definitely may have you on in the future for future episodes. You guys have been so incredible. Audience, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode where we'll be talking about mechanical, civil, and I believe aerospace as well. You'll have to see. So, thank you. Have a good
Bye-bye.
Later.